Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Authentically Albertan. Today, I'm glad to be here in Grande Prairie, joined by Stephanie.
Hello.
Stephanie, how are you?
I'm good. And yourself?
Good. And Stephanie, tell us, what do you do? What do you manage?
So I'm a tattoo artist here in Grande Prairie. I have my own private studio, and yeah, I basically have the funnest job ever. I get to tattoo people every day. So
Tell us, if you weren't a tattoo artist, what would you be doing right now?
probably something creative. I like doing photography, and I also kind of have like a casual job on the side where I do 911 dispatching. So I do that kind of a little bit too, but definitely something creative. I think that fuels my soul a lot. So
Where can we find you when you're not in the tattoo studio?
generally I'm at home, I'm reading. I love to read. I have a dog as well, so I spend a lot of time with my dog and my husband or friends and family. I just like to be outside mostly, so we do a lot of camping in the area and
Nice.
stuff like that. Yeah.
So, what's the name of your tattoo studio?
So
What's the story behind it?
I go by Sorry Mom Tattoo Studio. When I was kind of taking the plunge to do a private studio experience, I was trying to think of a name, and I definitely thought about, just using my own namesake to kind of open up the studio. But I joined the tattoo industry at a kind of interesting point in my life. It was really recently, after I lost my mom about 5 years ago. I decided to switch industries and careers, and tattooing was something I was always really passionate about. But I grew up really religious in my family, and the religion I grew up in was super strict. No tattoos, no drinking, no piercings, nothing like that. So it was never something I felt I could partake in and have my family support. And so, after my mom passed away kind of at an early age, I really felt like, you know what, life is short and I want to pursue this. I think my family can get on board with it if they know that it's something that's important to me. But obviously I never got to show my mom this side of my life. So the title is a bit of an homage to her, being like, sorry, I'm doing this industry that maybe you wouldn't have loved, but I know that she loved art and loved me. So I think about that all the time. Like, she definitely would have been in support of this. I also think, just generally speaking, it's something that anybody can relate to. I think we all have parents who don't always agree with our choices. So it's definitely, when I hit up conventions and stuff, I hear it all the time. People are like, "Oh, that's such a good name. My mom's here and she hates my tattoos," So it's kind of like fun, but for me it's also personal.
Yeah, that's a great story to it. And when I first heard about it, I did think that that viewpoint that you told me about, that other people think about, like, okay, well, must be very rebellious in nature. I thought of it, but it's very touching to hear the story behind it.
Yeah, I know sometimes people think, they're like, "Oh, that's so cheeky." And I'm like, it is, but there's something deeper to it for me. So
what made you want to switch industries from, I believe you're working on film?
Yeah, so I was working in the film industry in Vancouver. I think, so me and my husband were living there, and Vancouver's just this big city, and you're kind of like small fish, big pond. And, we were working so much just to pay bills and kind of keep afloat there, that both of us started missing our hometown, Grande Prairie, and feeling like we liked the small town Alberta vibe just more than we thought. So when we moved back here, it took me a second to adjust, because I was like, well, I can't do film here. There's not really a big need for it. There's some in Calgary, but we didn't want to move to Calgary. And
it still has that big city feel.
Yeah, it still had that big city feel, and both of our families are in this area, so that was a big pull for us. And so we needed to switch to something. And again, it was kind of at that point in my life where I was very transitionally, like, I was grieving, and what can I do? How can I get these feelings out and energy out in a different way? And that's when I discovered, like, I think I really want to pursue tattooing and just give it a fair shot. If you watch my home videos as a kid, for my family home videos, you'll see me always like in the corner drawing on my cousins and stuff like that. So like, you can see from an early age, it appealed to me.
So you moved back to Grande Prairie. You have this career shift. how do you begin learning how to tattoo other people? Because obviously, I mean, you're telling me you drew sometimes on your family members, but that can wash off. With
Yes.
tattoos, it's much, much more difficult.
Yeah. So it's really interesting. In Canada, tattooing is not a registered trade. So it takes almost makes it a little bit harder to get into, because if you want an apprenticeship, you have to be reaching out to shops, submitting a portfolio, and hopefully catch the eye of a mentor that you're willing to learn from and want to learn from. So that's what I did. I sought out an apprenticeship. I kind of sent my portfolio around to a few shops in town that had people's styles that I kind of resonated with, and then eventually landed my apprenticeship at a shop here in town. And did a lot of my learning through my mentor there and coworker as well at the time. They were both really fundamental in teaching me. I'm also a pretty eager learning person, so I did a lot of time on YouTube as well, learning from people online. But I think the culmination of all those things is really kind of what translated to drawing on paper to ink on skin.
What was the biggest challenge you would say that you had when you were starting those techniques, when you're first applying them?
I think confidence, honestly, because if you're someone who is in the art world or you're drawing a lot, those motions that you go through are very rhythmic and methodical. And so translating that to skin was not too bad. I think the nerves and the confidence behind I'm putting something permanent on someone's skin, this is going to be with them forever. The pressure is extremely high. So definitely that part is just building your confidence, feeling really sure about your lines. And then secondly, I think it's just getting used to holding a machine that's vibrating.
I can imagine your hands might start shaking
too. Yeah. It's when I first started, I had I would leave a shift of work and my hands would feel like they were vibrating still, because that sensation.
Right. Like when you're in the ocean and you're in a boat and you've been in there for a long time, and then you step into land and you still get that. And you still
feel it. Yeah. So my hands would feel that. Now my hands are numb to it. I think I've developed a good grip that kind of matches the energy of that, so it's less noticeable. But at the beginning, I think it's the hardest thing to get used to, because nobody's used to holding a vibrating machine with constant pressure in a steady way for hours at a time. You got to get used to that. So.
Yeah. Do you remember the first tattoo that you gave another person, and how stressful was it?
Yeah. So they always recommend when you first start working on skin to pick people who are friends or family who are.
And also your own skin, right?
Yeah, you can practice on yourself too. So the very, very first tattoo I ever did on somebody was a friend of mine, and we just did a simple 222 angel numbers on his knee. We did it as an outline, just to get practice for line work, and then we came back at a later session to fill it in so that I could kind of have a experience of line work, but also then shading. So it was very fun. He was very flexible with me and was very gracious, told me I had a light hand, so I felt really good.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. And I imagine that you have a pre-production meeting with your client before the whole project starts, where you tell them, okay, well, we're going to divide it up in some phases. Here's approximately when each phase is going to happen and such.
Yeah. So that consultation for me happens mostly online. I do a lot of my back and forth with them. When I open my books, I essentially have a form that I get people to fill out. It has all the fundamentals of what I need to know. And then once I kind of grasp what they're after, I'll follow up with questions or get them to send me photos of the area so I can kind of draw on top of their skin on my program.
Okay.
And that can help kind of create a really nice flow and get a good idea. But yeah, most of the consulting now is done online, which really streamlines it. And then when
saves time.
When people show up on the day, I show them the design, hope for the best, and if they have adjustments, like I said, I'm happy to make those. But usually by that point, we've done so much conversating and so much reference sharing.
You practically know their whole life.
Yeah, it's I know what we're trying to achieve here, which is really helpful. So,
what place in their body should be someone's first tattoo in? What body parts should they tattoo first?
I always recommend kind of arms, generally speaking. I think it's a pretty nice location. Top of the forearm, inner forearms, or shoulders are kind of the premium, like low pain, but high yield because you get to see it all the time.
Right.
Depending on what age they're getting tattooed, sometimes I don't always recommend the shoulder. The shoulder is a beautiful piece of real estate on the arm. It's got a lot of space. So when you're really young, sometimes making a big decision for that area ends up being remorseful later. So something, inner forearm, outer forearm, those are really lovely places to start.
When did you decide to finally go off on your own, to finally have your own studio? Like, what was the time?
Some probably would say it was quick, but I had big dreams.
Wait, how quick?
So I was tattooing for about a year and a half at the point that I decided to open up my own private studio. Basically, the biggest perks for me were just I love designing a space. I love creating an environment. The private studio experience kind of aligned a little bit more with what I was wanting at that time. I like the one-on-one with clients. I like hearing people's stories, and a lot of people say they use their tattoo artists as like therapy. So they dump
Wait,
all their
seriously?
trauma. Oh, 100%.
Oh no.
You hear everybody's
Do you have to
stories.
sign a non-disclosure agreement before
Nope.
you tattoo people?
No, they do sign a waiver form, but nothing is disclosed like that. And I'm pretty professional. I keep it under wraps, but it's definitely something that I like about the tattoo experience. So naturally moving to that private studio experience kind of was appealing to me. And yeah, you get to play your own music and just kind of create the environment for them. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
So after like a year of tattooing under an apprenticeship, sort of,
Yeah.
you finally decided, okay, well, I'm gonna go on my own.
Yes, yeah. So about a year and a half of my apprenticeship and junior artist kind of experience, did I decide to move and do my own thing, which I think is always scary. Anytime you go on your own, are my clients gonna come follow me, or am I gonna be successful? Can I pay my bills?
Yeah.
All these things that come along with owning a business. There's all these more boxes you have to check off. I have to order supplies now. I have to do my own scheduling. But all of that was such a good learning curve for me. And I feel like I'm a lot better off now for it because, again, I get to really customize my client's experience.
And how long have you been at it for now on yourself, like on your own?
So I just had my 3-year tattoo shop anniversary.
How'd you celebrate?
I think I just got some sweet treats. It was very minimal, but in years past, I typically do a giveaway on my anniversary day of getting the shop because it is such a big occasion for me. I love my space that I work in, and my clients are so great, so loyal to me. They repeat come, and it's just a really nice time. So,
what was the first year like? Because for a lot of entrepreneurs, that is a trial by fire, and that is where they really can see whether they're ready up to the task to start on their own or not. So what was that first year like, and what challenges did you face?
I think the biggest learning curve I experienced was just the amount of work that goes on outside of tattooing. So I'm there at the studio, I'm tattooing on people's skin. Outside of that, I'm at home, I'm drawing for my appointments. I'm doing scheduling. I'm doing consultations back and forth. I'm doing social media management.
Right.
You wear a lot of hats, and I think people don't often recognize that. They do say, "Oh, you have the coolest job. It must be so fun." Yes, it's amazing. I love it. But this is the tattooing side feels like 50% of the job. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes. And I don't think in that first year I fully understood how much work it was going to be to put all that energy and effort in. And creating healthy boundaries for work-life balance of, okay, if I have to do all this work from home, how do I know when to turn off and let myself just be at home and have rest? So I think that was just a big learning curve. I'm still learning about what the balance in my life should be. So
what would you say sets you apart from other tattoo artists?
I want to say customer experience. I know I keep harping on that, but I think in our day and age, that's what makes a huge difference to keeping a client versus them going from artist to artist. if you can really connect with somebody and make them feel heard, I think they're more likely to come back to you. So as small as like having snacks for people or adjusting music to stuff that they like while they're in their tattoo, or making sure as small as like having the right temperature. If they're cold, I put the heater on. If they're hot, I put the fan on. It doesn't matter if I'm sweating, I'll put the heater on for you. But making sure people are comfortable. And I think that kind of sets me apart. And I mean, I like to say my work does too. Like I think people come to me now because they like my style. So I hope that also sets me apart.
That is true. The experience plays a big part on it, and making people comfortable at ease.
Yeah.
Again, back to that barber comparison. I remember my barber started putting out some alcohol that he could sell.
Yeah.
Just while people get their haircut, they just pop a beer open.
Yeah. It makes you feel like you're not at a dentist's office, but you're like with a friend. And I think that is kind of really important to make people feel like, yeah, okay, if you're my friend, I can tell you what I think. I can tell you what I feel. I can vent to you about what my boyfriend said to me the other day. It's such a different experience. And then they want to come back and visit you. I have people now in my life that I consider like really good friends that I met because I started tattooing them. And so I think that's a really cool part of my job is I meet people and they resonate with me as much as I resonate with them, and we become friends. So
they get to vent. Yeah,
they get to vent. It's a good process for everybody, I think.
Definitely. Yeah, keeping that customer experience, and who knows, maybe in the future you might buy yourself a mini fridge and bring it to the office.
I have one.
Oh.
I do. I have one for drinks, Gatorade, juice boxes. I got it all. So
have you taken any apprentices lately?
So yeah, I actually just got my first apprentice, which is really exciting.
What was that process like?
Very organic. So I kind of reconnected with a girl that I used to go to school with back in junior high school days, which was quite some time ago. But we reconnected recently and started talking, and she mentioned to me, she was interested in the tattooing industry, was asking me some questions about how I got into it. And I told her, hey, well, why don't you come check it out one day at the shop? Like, I can just show you. And if it's something that you are interested in, then I highly recommend like reaching out to shops. And so we kind of did that process. She booked in a tattoo with me, and, we were chatting. And then I realized, okay, I think I want you as my apprentice. I think, we work really well together, and, we have similar maybe styles of communication, which I think is fundamental in having an apprentice. You want someone who is going to take direction well and wants to learn. I think passion is the biggest thing. Without that desire there, I don't want to force anybody to like do their homework, so to speak. I want them to want to do it because they want to get better. So she definitely has that drive. And so it's been a really cool experience so far, and we're getting really close to her working on skin for real. So
for real.
Yeah. I think maybe come in the next month or so we'll be there. So
has she practiced on herself?
Yeah, so we did some on herself recently, and then we've been working a lot with fake skin. I also have like a lot of training manual material that she kind of does some drawing prompts for. I basically create like fake client pitches of so-and-so wants this and they want it in this style. They're open to your ideas. Come up with 3 concepts for this. So she'll kind of draw, and I'll usually set time frames of like a quick sketch under 10 minutes, like just an idea. And then when she has a couple of those, we discuss, and then we pick her favorite, and then she develops that into like a fully fleshed out design. And then we do that on fake skin and practice it.
Do you guys have different styles that you'd like to cover, or is it just kind of this? I mean, if she's learning on there, you said the same style that you know.
No, I would say everybody kind of brings their own flavor to it. I tend to do a lot of fine line work. It's one of my favorite things. Again, I'm a details person, so I think fine line really allows you to hone in on those really nitty-gritty details.
Sorry, what would be an example of fine line?
So something that has really skinny line work as opposed to like a thicker needle.
Okay.
And typically a lot of fine line work also has very soft shading or stipple, which is kind of like more salt and pepper looking.
Would it be like what you have on your finger?
So I wouldn't really consider this. I mean, you could, but like, so I have on my arm here an example of fine line work. So really thin bands, has some light shading, goes to darker if you would like it. But that's kind of generally the idea. So I do a lot of stuff like this myself. And this was done by a coworker of mine when I had my apprenticeship. So it was a really cool experience. And so that's kind of my bread and butter, what I like to do. Not to say that I can't do other styles, it's just something that resonates more with me. And so my apprentice does a lot more, I'm going to call it ornamental, or more maybe even traditional or neo-traditional, which is usually a little bit of a bolder line, lots of symmetry for the ornamental side of things. And so I am more than happy to kind of feed into what she's interested in, because I think ultimately that's going to be what she wants to draw later. That's going to be what people want to book in for. So I think we're learning a lot of the basics or the fundamentals right now. And she can use those techniques to apply to whatever style she wants to get into. I do think it takes time and energy and effort to find something that you like to do. Even as an artist now, 4.5 years in of tattooing, I think you're always trying to find your style. You know, you're trying different things and being like, wow, I like that way more than I thought I would. So I definitely think that style is always evolving, and your skills are evolving the more you do it. So that's going to inform your practice as well. So she's definitely in the starting stages, but I'm really excited for her. So
it's great to hear that you have been learning during that whole teaching process as well. Like hearing you talk about different styles that you've also had to reflect back on and try to, figure out some things, really put the foundation out there, solidify it, and then build something on it. I think that's very powerful to do, and it's a great experience to go through it.
Yeah.
I mean, you said 4 years?
Yeah.
So in 4 years, you've gone from being the student to now the master.
Yeah. I don't want to say master. I think everybody's always learning, but I think, I have loved this teaching process more than I thought I would. I think I was really intimidated. I think tattooing maybe has a bad rep of being a little bit cliquey when it comes to like our knowledge. We want to like keep it all here.
The knowledge?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, it's pretty common in the industry. Like people have their thing they're known for. They don't want to share it. It's mine. I do it. Only come to me. And I'm kind of the opinion of like, there's room for all of us. Like when people come to me, I know they're coming because they like my work and they like what I can offer to them as a customer experience. But if they want to go to someone else because they like their work too, I'm not going to be mad about that. That's your body. You get to choose. And I have tattoos from different artists too because I like different styles. There's no shade against anybody I go to or not go to. I just like to collect. I'm an art collector. So I would never expect my clients to like have it only me forever and ever. So yeah, it's kind of fun that way. But.
Is there any horror story that comes to mind through your tattoo career?
I mean, I've definitely had some pretty memorable, I don't want to call them negative experiences, but like definitely learning experiences, mostly medical like related. So I've had people react really poorly to tattoos and learning how to deal with that. So for example, I had a 17-year-old young man come in with his mom to get his first tattoo. It was a pretty decent sized one that he was getting to cover up actually some self-harm scars. So it was significant to him. And it was kind of on his upper thigh area, which can be a bit of a tender spot for people. So, we talked about all the what to expect, everything like that. We got about 2 minutes into the tattoo, and he actually started having a seizure in the chair. And he kind of went dormant for a little bit, and his mom, kind of was taken aback because she had never seen him in this state before. I mean, obviously we stopped the session. When he came out of it, we got him some drinks and, we rescheduled to pick up on another day and with plans to use numbing cream and stuff for helping him kind of relax. But it came out after the fact. His mom reached out to me to say, he had not eaten that day.
Gotcha.
He's super scared of needles. And then on top of that, he had undisclosed like football injury that he had not told her about, that he had gotten a concussion. So she was like, I'm kind of really glad that I was there for that, because otherwise I don't know if he would have told me, because he didn't want to stop playing football. So that one was a big, scary moment for me. You know, I think anybody who's tattooing, you again, you're pressure, you're trying to get these straight lines and someone starts shaking kind of uncontrollably, you're panicked, you're like lifting up, did I mess up anything? Oh, this person's not okay, I need to do something. I mean, in this case, it was awesome that he happened to have somebody with him that could kind of assist me with helping him kind of get into a comfortable position. And I think it's really helpful to have a CPR background, but that was definitely a scary story.
But it goes to show the importance of, again, doing that pre-tattooing routine and coming in, you know, well-fed and having your health, you know, good for the session.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. I think anytime I've had some of those scary like medical ones where people like faint or, you know, they are getting sick, it's almost always once I talk to them about having missed parts of the like prep for their appointment, whether they didn't eat or they only had coffee or they didn't sleep the night before because they were working. All these things kind of contribute to maybe a not as fun like tattoo experience as they could have had.
Gotcha. Well, it is sort of you got to respect your body. You have to respect your body, like we talked about, and, you know, really think about the tattoo that you want to get. That's a good segue into this activity that I've got prepped just for this interview.
Okay.
I've designed a little game right here about different situations that you might stumble upon, and I just want to get your thoughts on them, whether you'd recommend that someone should get a tattoo or maybe think it over a little bit.
Okay.
So I'd like to call it Think or Ink. Should it be tattooed or should they think it over? So here's the first situation. Name of a current relationship.
I'm going to say think it over. I think, you know, there's something in the tattoo industry, we call it the tattoo curse. I think once you put someone's name on you or like date, you're always running the risk that you might have something go awry and you need to fix it or cover it up. So yeah, definitely think it over. I'm not saying don't do it, but definitely make sure it's the right decision for you.
Gotcha. Okay. Here's the next situation. A hyper-realistic portrait of a celebrity's face.
You know what? I'm kind of almost indifferent. If it's significant to you and you like that person, I'm not going to say don't get it. But I always tell people anything with like lyrics or anything, I always say you want to make sure that you spend some time thinking about it and if it is going to hold value to you over time. I get a lot of cover-ups for lyrics specifically. So, I mean, same could be said with like a portrait of a person. I think just make sure that it's something that really resonates with you long term, it's not just a fad in your life at that moment.
A tattoo in Comic Sans font.
I'd do it. My graphic design background says don't do that, but yeah, no, I definitely, sure. If it's the right fit, it's the right fit.
Good to hear. Here's this next situation. Chinese/Japanese writings done with Google Translate.
Yikes. Yeah, I mean, definitely not great. I think if you're gonna use Google Translate as a tool to try to find a phrase or saying that you would like, I think always double verify whether you have a friend of yours or somebody that you can reach out to make sure that that is saying exactly what you would like it to say. That's always going to be your best bet. So maybe have a think, make sure it's right.
Here's our last one. Brand logos.
I don't know. I feel torn about this one. I've seen them on people. I actually knew a guy who got McDonald's, the M on his top of his foot, and he would always show it off. It's a bit bizarre, but I'm not gonna yuck somebody else's yum. So if that's your thing, then I would say do it. But maybe give it some thought, see if it's something that is gonna bring value to your life, even if the value is just it's fun. But just make sure that it resonates with you.
That's a great phrase. Yuck somebody else's yum.
Yeah.
Not gonna yuck somebody else's yum.
Yeah, we don't want to do that. People's bodies are their own. That's their decision. Any of these, really, I do feel like if you feel strongly enough about it, like I wouldn't let anybody stop you. But it's good to always think about what's going on in your body when it's talking about a permanent change to it. So.
All right. Well, thank you for playing Think or Ink.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
My next question is, what's in store for the future of Story Mom Tattoos?
I kind of see myself expanding in the future. I really like this apprenticeship process I've been going through with my apprentice, and I could see, as she develops into a tattoo artist herself, that maybe starting that again, and then obviously as more people join the shop there, I think expanding into a larger space would be ideal. One where I can still have my private studio experience, we can still have our spaces within that, but kind of sharing the creative juices all together, bounce ideas off each other. I think that's always really fun. So definitely growth I'm hoping for, and lots more events. I love conventions. I'm definitely doing some charity events this year that I'm really excited about for the local animal shelter. So things like that, I could just see myself doing more and more of.
Are you going to give animals tattoos?
No, although I heard that's a thing that some people do.
No. That shouldn't be a thing.
I know. I'm like, maybe not. I am doing, like, right now, this month I'm doing a collaborative event with old coworker of mine. We're doing some flash pieces, so pre-made designs to raise money for our local animal shelter. All the proceeds of the event are going to the shelter, and hopefully will help out with some of the costs they incur as a volunteer-run business. So yeah.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, we're excited about it.
As a tattoo artist, how do you define success?
Oh, this is hard because I think it has evolved so much for me over my course of my career. But, success at the beginning looked a lot to me like making a lot of money and doing it like full time. It made me feel really good. And then that was really short-lived. I quickly learned, like, no, for me, it really is about building good client relationships. And now I think where I'm at is like success is feeling financially stable, having those good relationships, and having a good work-life balance. If I'm missing that last element, I can't, in good conscience, go at a rate that feels healthy. And I want to be my best self when I work on people's skin. I don't want to feel like I'm giving them half of my effort, because they deserve more than that. So I think those three elements feel so integral to the success in this industry, especially with that balance in one's life. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, very insightful. For our last question, here's one that we like to ask all of our entrepreneurs, all of our artists who come to Authentically Albertan. If you had one word to describe yourself, which one would it be?
Stressful. I would say I see this in myself and a lot of my friendships, but I would say loyal. Like, I am very loyal. I love Grande Prairie. I never thought I would come back to live in Grande Prairie, but I love Alberta. I say it all the time when I'm driving down the roads. I love the big skies, and I can't really see myself leaving here anytime soon. And I'm loyal to my friends, my family. I'm loyal to my job. And so I think, that's probably the biggest word I would describe.
Loyal to the clients?
Yeah, loyal to my clients.
Hear them out.
Exactly.
Be patient with them. Listen to what they want.
Exactly. So that's probably how I would describe myself.
All right, Stephanie. Well, thank you so much
for
coming to the show. It's been great interviewing you and hearing your story. And thank you so much for being here, for playing Think or Ink.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you guys for watching another episode of Authentically Albertan. We'll catch you on the next one. Stay authentic. Well, and that wraps up another episode of StoryHive On Location Calgary. If you've got a story and want to be featured, don't forget to scan the QR code and apply to be a guest on our show. Stay tuned. See you next time.